USCHO.com. This is the USCHO Spotlight, a weekly podcast from U.S. College Hockey Online at USCHO.com, featuring conversations with college hockey coaches and players and journalists who cover the sport.
Welcome to USCHO Spotlight for December 11th, 2018. I'm Ed Trefzger, and sitting in for Jim Connolly alongside of me is Dan Rubin. This episode is brought to you by the NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4. Sacred Heart got a sweep last weekend, and that puts the Pioneers smack dab in the middle of the standings in Atlantic hockey at the semester break.
And we're joined today by head coach of the Sacred Heart Pioneers, CJ Marottolo, fresh off a 4-point weekend up in Rochester against the RIT Tigers. Sorry, Ed, about that, but I'm sure that you can only be so sorry about it when you're looking at it from a Sacred Heart perspective. Coach, a fine weekend for you guys coming away with your first sweep of the season.
Yeah, thank you. It's a hard-fought weekend, and those games could have gone either way. We had our hands full. RIT. A lot of those games, they had the upper hand, but we were lucky to escape, with 4 points.
It seems like those games this weekend, when I was running down the box scores and taking a look back and forth on things, it seemed like those games were like you said, hard fought, and that no team really seemed to grab an advantage for longer than a couple of minutes until I know that third period, the first game went to overtime, and then that second game you guys scored a couple of third period goals. And what did that kind of tell you about your team being able to win those types of battles and win and come away with it in the end?
Yeah, there's no question there were huge momentum swings, shift to shift, period to period. And I was just really proud of how our guys were really resilient, and they didn't get too high. They didn't get too low. They just stuck with the game plan and took it shift by shift. And, we were fortunate to come out on the winning end, but fun games to be involved with. I think those are games that maybe you could look back on and later in the year and draw from those games, draw from those experiences of being resilient and fighting to the end and learning how to win games, which we're still trying to do on a more consistent basis.
This is your 10th year at Sacred Heart since coming in, and for you, this is a team that I feel like. Well, I know I've seen you guys a lot in the postseason, playing you guys two or 3 years in a row there with Bentley, but you seem to be one of those teams that everyone kind of, I wouldn't say forgets about until you come in and beat them. What is it that, when you look back over the last 10 years has made this team, the identity of playing at Sacred Heart, so resilient? We use that term, but anybody who may have watched those games shouldn't have been too surprised with the way that the team played in comparison to some of the rosters that you've put forward. That seems to be a trend.
Yeah, I mean, this team is really growing. It's growing week by week, practice by practice, and they're starting to really play to the identity, that myself and our coaching staff talk to the guys about. And, we want to be a hard team. We want to be relentless in everything that we do. We want to be hard to play against. We want to have loose puck hunger. We want to engage in a lot of battles. I think we displayed that this weekend. We want to be a heavy team. We want to be strong on pucks. We want to have strong sticks. We want to possess pucks. And we want to be fast. We want to try to play with as much speed as we can with and without the puck. And we want to be a team that hunts pucks and put teams under pressure. And we're starting to see more and more of that as we go weekend to weekend. So, I thought this weekend was a weekend where we really displayed that more on a consistent basis. But this team is really growing together, and I wish the break wasn't happening, to be perfectly honest with you right now.
Even though this is your 10th year at Sacred Heart, you've been around the region, especially down that section of Connecticut, essentially your whole life, growing up in the New Haven area, playing I believe at Choate Rosemary and having the chance to coach at Yale before taking over at Sacred Heart. I know you and I have talked a lot about the Connecticut hockey culture, but for you personally, what does it mean to be able to coach in that region for Sacred Heart, a region that you obviously grew up in, played in, and have spent most of your hockey life in?
Yeah, it's I probably couldn't paint the picture any better than it is. As you indicated, I've been a lifelong Connecticut resident. I love Connecticut hockey. I love the grassroots level of Connecticut hockey. There's so many volunteers in our state and youth hockey coaches and high school coaches, that I've seen my entire life that, give so much to the game and give to these young kids, and being able to coach here at the Division I level. And, it means a lot. And, and my father was, one of the founders of Yale Youth Hockey, and being able to play there and coaching at Yale, now moving on to Sacred Heart, and my kids have played Yale Youth Hockey. It's just an area very close to my heart. And, I try to do everything I can to help, at the grassroots level when I can, because the state of Connecticut has given me so much. It's just, I feel I need to give back. I can never give back as much as it's given me.
You mentioned your father, Carl. He, I know from my trips down to Connecticut, what Yale Youth Hockey means down to that region. I believe they hand out an award still named after him for players who spend their entire youth career in the Yale Youth Hockey organization. Just in terms of the organization of youth hockey and being able to have grown up in there, what has kind of that meant with the talent levels that are down there fostering the game? And for you, I know you mentioned your personal connection there, but does it take on a little source of extra pride knowing that your family had its roots in there as well?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yale Youth Hockey holds a special place in not only my heart, but my family's, hearts. And it's grown so much since I've played there. They've done a terrific job. It's grown. How many kids play in that organization? How many kids that youth organization develops every year? They have 5 or 6 teams at every level. Now they have Tier 1 at the U15, U16, U18 level. I think a couple of years ago they won the national title at U16 level. And the U16 team is now going to the Nationals this year. So it's grown. It's gotten better. There's great people involved there. And then there's no question, as a great sense of pride to look back and say, my family had a little bit, part of helping that program get to where it is now.
Do you ever miss the New Haven Coliseum? I think that's been 10 years out now that it's been that it was torn down.
Yeah, that was a great place. Great place to watch a game. I grew up watching the New Haven Nighthawks there. Some great memories in my childhood. We played when I was at Yale. A lot of the Yale Harvard games were there. Yale Cornell games, because it just held more people than the Yale Whale. So I've had a lot of great times in that building. A lot of great hockey games are in that building, and it was sad to see it go. I wish it was still around, because it's a great place for a hockey event.
And you you were an assistant coach at Yale in there in from the 90s in through the 2000s. Being able to coach at Yale and then make the switch over to Sacred Heart. I know that Ed and I were talking about this. What was it that, I'll just start out, when you took the job at Sacred Heart, what was it that moved you over from Yale when Sean Hanna resigned before that season? And what was it about Sacred Heart that kind of drew you in to make that move over?
Yeah, I mean, my goal, I always wanted to be a head coach. And it was a great opportunity where I didn't have to uproot my family. I had young children at that point, and my wife was sort of embedded in this area. So it was a great opportunity to go on to be a head coach and really try to put, my stamp on a program. I thought there were a lot of great things about Sacred Heart. I saw their vision, and it has grown tremendously since I've been there, from an infrastructure standpoint, how many students go there. It's just a wonderful place. And once I was there on the interview, I didn't know whether I was going to get their job or not, but the people there were just fantastic, and how they go about their business and how they treat people. I really felt a real good connection to the people there. And I felt it would be a great place to dig in and grow some roots and try to grow the hockey program and build off of what Sean Hanna and the previous coaches had done.
More with C.J. Marottolo in just a moment. First, this word from our friends at the NCAA.
Speed and precision, unrelenting power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
With a shot, saved by Morris. Takes the shot, Richter!
Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4 and get your tickets today.
Our guest on USCHO Spotlight is Sacred Heart head coach C.J. Marottolo. Coach, you mentioned about growth in the program and so forth. One of the big steps forward your program made in the last couple of seasons is the move to hosting most of your home games at Webster Bank Arena. What has that change meant to your program, both in the current program and also as you look to recruit?
Yeah, Webster Bank has been a great move for us. It's a first-class arena with first-class people running it. And it gave us a validation that the school was behind us. Right down from the president to make a move like that. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes people believing in the program, believing in the young men in that program, and for us to be able to play there and have a state-of-the-art locker room there and being able to call that home, it really it was pleasing to not only the players but to us, the coaches, that the university believed in us. And it also gave us an opportunity to dig in on some recruiting fronts that we might not have been able to get in, skating at the Milford Ice Pavilion. Bringing recruits into a rink like that. I mean, it's a pro arena. So it just validates a lot of things from the president on down on what we're trying to accomplish.
When you were talking to recruits about Sacred Heart University and about Atlantic hockey in general, what are some of the things that you tell them that are advantages both to your program and to the league?
I mean, our league is an unbelievable league. There's great programs, great schools in our league that have had great success on a national level. Our league, the teams that win our league that are fortunate enough to get to the NCAA tournament, they go in and win games in the NCAA tournament. So I think that's a big draw. I think having the opportunity to play in our league, you get to see a lot of different parts of the country. I think kids always enjoy going to different states and different parts of the region. I think our league fosters that for sure. And there are great players that have come out of our league that are playing in the National Hockey League. So we're a league that develops. We're a league that NHL teams come and see. And I think we're a league definitely on the rise. So I think telling young men that playing in our league, you're going to be seen, you're going to be able to develop, and you're going to be able to fulfill your dreams from an academic and a hockey standpoint.
When you're out there and your staff is out there looking for players to recruit, are you finding that the talent pool is getting deeper?
No question. The talent pool is getting deeper. It's getting harder to recruit. I mean, every team, every coach, every coaching staff is doing a great job canvassing Canada and the U.S. and Europe. So it's hard, but it's a good kind of hard. Like there's a lot of great players out there, and you got to do your work to get the ones that you feel are going to thrive in the environment you're trying to create in your program.
We're talking with C.J. Marottolo, head coach at Sacred Heart University. Getting back to this year's team, one of the things that impressed me tremendously about seeing your team this past weekend is the depth. It seems like you've got 4 lines and 6 defensive pairings and of course, 2 goalies who can all go. Is this the deepest team you've had at Sacred Heart?
Yeah, no question. We feel that as well. We play 4 lines, 6D, 7D. We dress an extra forward. We play everybody. And I think it's helped our team be fresher, and everybody can contribute. I feel very comfortable with any line out there in any situation. And I think it's given our team a lot of confidence. And I think going forward, I think that's going to really help us down the stretch. Having a lot of depth and believing in everybody on our team for sure.
When we look at your roster, we see a lot of different junior leagues represented: Western Canada, Eastern Canada, U.S. leagues. How many miles must your assistants and yourself also be putting together? There's got to be an awful lot of travel involved in recruiting for you.
Yeah, my 2 assistant coaches, Scott McDougal and Paul Kirtland, they do an unbelievable job. As you indicated, flying all over the country, tracking down kids, being on the phone, watching video, and just identifying the young men that we feel that we want in our program. And I just go where they tell me to go. So I take a lot of direction from them. They deserve a lot of the credit. They're the ones putting all the man hours in. And I think they've done a really good job building this team to where it's at right now.
One of the things that people always say, if I mention who your athletic director is, they say, "Wait, the Bobby Valentine." And I know I've seen you mention about the support he's given you. How is it having a celebrity like that as your AD?
Yeah, Bobby's been great. He always been around athletes, big time athletes, maybe in another sport, but still, men at the highest level that in his profession. So I always try to pick his brain about certain situations, how to deal with certain things, and he always has a great answer because he's been in that situation. And we talk hockey, we talk sports, we talk about life, and he's just someone that I feel very comfortable going to and talking to him anything about my team or anything about that might be an issue that's going on. And he always has a great answer, and he's really funny. He has great stories to tell. He's a great personality, and I'm glad he's our athletic director, and he gives us tremendous amount of support, which is great.
Coach, you're going into your break here, 5-6-1 in Atlantic hockey play. You come out, you'll have that road game at Vermont after the holidays, and then it dives right back into it. Even though you have the last non-conference game, one of the last non-conference games against Yale. Is this going to be, how big, I should say, is a stretch of this hockey coming out of break? You're going to have 6 consecutive conference games that are all at home. You'll be wearing the white sweaters. How important is this? The message for your team to say you can really get some momentum going and maybe start to make a run at that top 5?
Yeah, there's no question. It's going to be an exciting time. I mean, we just met with our team yesterday, about how important these next 2.5 weeks are, even though we're not practicing, to continue to condition and be in the weight room. And we expect our guys to come back in better shape than they are right now because there's so much at stake coming back. And, we're a team that we can't be satisfied with where we are. There's so much more. We feel we're only scratching the surface of where we can be. And there's going to be a lot of hard hockey, but I think it's going to be, I think our guys are starting to understand that, hard work feels good. And that's the kind of mentality that we're taking on. And we're going to take it one game at a time, not to be cliche, but that's the way we've been approaching every weekend. Let's just worry about Friday night before Saturday night. So that's the mentality we're going to have. But it's a time where we don't have school. We could do some good things together, team building, and really come together as a team during this really important stretch. And I think it's something that our team's really looking forward to, and the coaching staff is really looking forward to as well.
Before we let you go, we just got the press release in from Atlantic Hockey for the weekly awards, a couple of them for your team. Mike Lee, who doubled his career total in goals with a pair of goals Friday night against RIT, is the Defensive Player of the Week. And your rookie goaltender, Josh Benson, the Rookie of the Week. A couple of words about those players.
Yeah, I'm happy for Mike. Mike, as you know, he transferred from Vermont, so he didn't play last year. And it takes a while to get back into it. Practicing all year is different than playing, and playing night to night. And he plays a lot of big minutes for us. So I'm happy that he was recognized. He's a young man that has a lot of offensive skill. He could really skate. And I'm glad that, he popped in a couple goals for us and was rewarded, for the hard work he's put in. And Josh Benson, I can't say enough about this young man. He's got a great demeanor. He's so relaxed in the net. He just exudes confidence, for our guys. And he's a guy that, didn't get, I think November 15th or 16th was his first game. He didn't play before then. And he was ready for his opportunity. And that just goes to his character of how we trained, how we prepared. And when his opportunity, when his number was called, he was ready. And, I couldn't be happier for him.
Well, Coach C.J. Marottolo from Sacred Heart University, thanks for being our guest this week on USCHO Spotlight, and we wish you a ton of luck down the stretch.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, guys.
Dan, it's always a pleasure to talk to CJ, and it's a program that I think other teams in Atlantic hockey need to worry about when it comes time for the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. They're a team, Ed, that every time you look at the standings, and I kind of alluded to this with CJ, was you kind of overlook Sacred Heart, especially of the Eastern teams. The pretty picks are the Army, West Point for obvious reasons. AIC's having a firecracker of a year. Bentley is made the most public strides in the league in terms of infrastructure. But Sacred Heart is a team that I don't think anybody would ever want to play in the postseason. They're designed the right way. They're designed to do damage in the regular season with size, with experience, with mature physical players who play the right style. And when you get into the postseason and they start hitting their stride, I just can't see a team that would be able in a 3-game sheet to be able to look at Sacred Heart and say, you know what, they're going to win 2 games going away and waltz into the next round. I have a feeling Sacred Heart's going to be a team that moves to the top of the league, the middle part of the league, make that run in the second half of the year, and really make some noise to be the team that everyone should really be taking stock of right now in Atlantic hockey.
And what a potent combination, a team that likes to play heavy and a team that likes to play with speed.
Oh, yeah, this is a team that if they can get moving and they can pick up the pace and the tempo and still be able to provide that physicality and do it in the right way, they're a team that's got the power forward mentality. And when you combine all of that together with a stingy defense and a goaltending matchup that could just wipe you out, it's going to be a tough matchup for anybody in this league.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of USCHO Spotlight. For Dan Rubin, I'm Ed Trefzger, and we'll catch you next time.
This has been the USCHO Spotlight, a production of U.S. College Hockey Online. Visit uscho.com/podcasts to listen or subscribe.